南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。The Sutra Opening Kata, the Dhamma infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million kalpas. Now we are able to hear, to study, and to practice. May we fully understand and realize the Tathagata's true teachings. So, how have you been? Good, good. So, this autumn is here, right? Those beautiful autumn colors. Yeah, that means time has fly by. Yeah. So, I was just uh, I was just doing my presentation for tomorrow this afternoon and thought, wow, when did we talk about 2016 in the beginning of the year? Oh, nice, 2016. Now we start to talk about 2017 very soon. It's October already. Just don't know where the time goes. It's scary. It's kind of scary because it seems that I don't know about you. It seems that I have still got a million things to do. And it seems that and my time is running out, really running out. So it's kind of scary. But that's the reality, right? Isn't it? So can we sort of trying to be the at the present moment and then cherish and treasure every moment that we have. That's the most important. Not to sort of regret, but just move forward. Okay, chapter 15. So you have seen some of the video clips that ever show you of the trip in Hong Kong, Taiwan, everything. So that was quite an inspiring trip. And then after that, I went to Toronto. So you probably read that on the Facebook. So I actually participate. I was one of the panel speaker, the only nun in the conference, being a panel speaker. The only nun. I was the only Chinese, possibly. Yeah, I was the only Chinese person in the panel speaking discussion group. So yeah, I think it was an honor to be there to talk about end of life, and they only gave me 20 minutes to talk about that topic. So I could only sort of talk about one of my experience with one of my clients because my focus was mindfulness in end of life care. Uh, I shouldn't have chosen that topic. I should have chosen other things because when I got there with the opening roundtable thing, and then the panel speaking, panel presentation, everybody talks about mindfulness. Everybody talks about mindfulness. Really, it's everywhere, and it's really crazy. It's so crazy. It's like the most trendy thing to do. So if you don't practice mindfulness, you better watch out. Don't tell anybody you're way too behind. I'm glad that we are way far ahead because we have started that almost like how many years ago? 2013, 2012 we start 2000 no 2003 we started mindfulness meditation classes here, and so it goes into full speed is I think is around 2006. So we have been doing that for over like 13 years, so we are a little bit ahead, but it doesn't mean anything. But people are catching up now. A lot of scientists are catching up, a lot of scholars are catching up, and it is a good sign. Also it is a bad sign because that means there's a way for people to make money, and there's a way for people to abuse this technique and put it in the wrong place, using it not appropriately, um, or not efficiently, you know. So so we need to be very careful. That's why the Buddha always said, walk on the middle path. So take a middle path, not leaning on either of the two sides too much, and you'll be very safe and you'll be practicing on the right path. Otherwise, if you're going sideways, you will veer off very, very easily. In Toronto, I have, it was like I said, on one side, I was very happy because I see a lot of scientists, a lot of scholars who are very fluent in the Dhamma theoretically, philosophically, and yet they are practicing. That's one good thing. But the other good thing is, as I said, into the Saturday Dhamma study group is, I think sometimes having too much knowledge, too scholastic could be an obstacle because, huh? Yeah, yeah, because people could be arrogant and they may focus it on more on the scientific approach or scholastic approach rather than the practical approach. So I have met monks, I have seen monks, I have seen teachers who are illiterate, but they are completely literate. You know what I mean? Illiterate in the sense that they cannot comprehend any writings, any books, but they are literate because they are so wise. Whatever question you present to them about the Dhamma, they know the answer. So one doesn't need to be literate to be a practitioner. Yeah.
God. I mean, thank Buddha.
so so and one doesn't need to be literate to be enlightened. One needs to walk on the path to be enlightened. That's very important. So I'm not saying that studying is not necessary. Studying is necessary at some stage. Studying is necessary, very necessary. But people who cannot study because they are illiterate doesn't mean that they are they have no chance of getting enlightened. Okay, all right. So that's my point of view. And at that, I mean, we saw a lot of evidence in the history of Buddhism, spreading from 2000 years in China or in the Southeast Asian countries. Okay, so chapter 15 we talk about this chapter is talks about tolerance and purification. That's what we need nowadays a lot. Okay, a shramana, we know that what is a shramana. Okay, ask the Buddha, what is great power, what is the brightest light. Let us go through this whole chapter, the content of the whole chapter first. The Buddha said tolerance to insult is great power because it harbors not hatred but peace and fortitude. And those who are tolerant are free from unwholesomeness and will be honored by others. When the mind is utterly purged of defilements, it is pure without blemish or filth. That is the brightest light. From before the formation of heaven and earth and through the present, there is nothing in the 10 directions that one does not see, hear, or know. This all inclusive wisdom is indeed brightness. Okay, so this whole chapter is talking about tolerance and how tolerance can actually bring purification and how tolerance can actually open up the power of the mind so that one can become wise. So as we have studied before, we know tolerance is one of the 6 or the 10 paramis. What is the definition of parami? Parami is the Pali word. Okay, what is the definition of perfections? Good. Or wholesome qualities. Yeah, good qualities. So why is parami important? Why is parami tolerance and purification? So that you see the relationship there, tolerance and purification. So tolerance is one of the perfections. It's six perfections in the Mahayana teachings, in the traditional northern style of teachings, or the Chinese lineage, or the 10 perfections in the Southeast Asian lineage, or Burmese lineage, or Theravadan lineage. Is either six or 10, because the six perfections actually derived from the Mahayana texts, whereas the 10 perfections are derived from the Nikaya, the Theravadan text. So there is a difference of four perfections in them. We're going to look at these perfections. So why do you think that one of the perfections are linked to purifications?
Because if you can overcome, or if you can be tolerant, or any of the other purifications,
Or any other perfections?
sorry, you would, it would purify.
It would, wouldn't it? It would. Of course it would. Otherwise, what's the point of cultivating paramis, right? Okay. So the six perfections. So let us look at the Mahayana teachings first, because this is the Mahayana teaching. So six perfections. The first one is generosity. So generosity in the Pali term is very good, Yoka. Dana. So dana, that means you give, right? So dana, does it necessarily means material dana? No. Or financial dana? No. Could be your time, your mind, the mental dana,
Teaching.
your organ. Yes, that's the internal dana. Yeah. And external dana is the work, the material stuff, the financial stuff. Well, what is the highest dana? Dhamma. No, nothing in the world can surpass that. Dhamma dana. Nothing can surpass Dhamma dana. Dhamma dana, Dhamma, that means teachings, the great teachings, or the truth of existence. Dana, that means generosity, giving, gifts. Okay? So generosity is the first perfection. Okay. And then second one is morality. Morality in Pali term, sila. Yes, very good. So sila. So morality in the Mahayana traditions, or even in the Theravadan traditions, could start from a foundation of taking the three refuge, right? Because you take the refuge in the Buddha, then you abide by not following other teachers who are not teaching you a path of liberation. Okay. And you take the refuge in the Dhamma. That means you abide by the teachings of the Buddha. The teachings of the Buddha, that means he teaches us the truth of existence, and he taught us the Dhamma of impermanence. He taught us the Dhamma of anatta, selfless, right? So that is his teaching. So we take refuge in Dhamma because we want to abide by the teachings and not follow other teachings which will trap us into going back into samsara. Okay. And so we take a refuge in the sangha. That doesn't mean that we take a refuge in a human being, or in this physical body, or of a teacher. No, it's actually a metaphor. That means you follow a teacher. The Buddha was our teacher. The sangha was our teacher. Is our teacher. So you take the refuge. That means you abide by the teachings of that teacher, so that you don't go and look for other teachers who are going to teach you techniques that actually will trap you back into samsara. Okay, so that's the first step of morality. is taking the refuge in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, and the Sangha. People think that taking the refuge is not a practice of morality. They think it's a rite and ritual, which is, I completely disagree. From what I have said just now, do you think that taking a refuge is a practice of morality? It is, isn't it? And then further on, you take the precepts, then you even advance yourself a little bit more, right? The three precepts, or one precept, or three precepts, or four precepts, right? Not to steal, not to kill, not to lie, not to commit adultery, and not to take intoxicants. So those five precepts allow you to advance yourself much more. And then you can go and take eight precepts during some days of the month as a householder, or you can vow to take 10 precepts to become a novice nun or monk, and then go on, you take the monk, the book bhikkhu precepts, 250 precepts, or bhikkhunis, the nuns precepts, 348. It's not too bad. And then further on, you take the bodhisattva vows. So it's 10, 10 plus 48. So that is 58 in the Bodhisattva vow for monks and bhikkhus, for bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, so for monastics. So, so morality is actually teaching us, giving us a path on how we actually conduct our life, how to live our life. That's actually so important as a strong foundation. Okay. So the third is the tolerance. All right. Tolerance, that means it could be it could be patience, right? What else could include into tolerance, do you think? Acceptance,
Equanimity.
equanimity, respect. Yeah, it could be. And and you embrace you embrace differences. It could also be tolerance, right? So tolerance is one of the very important one of the perfections. And the fourth is the energy and diligence. Energy and diligence, that means not in the perspective of pursuing mundane achievements. Is here super mundane achievements. That means how much time, how diligent you are in pursuing a practice. It applies to householder also, right? Um, before 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 this, actually I got a message from one of the friends we met in Toronto. They went to a cafe today, and it was called Mindful Cafe. My healthy Mindful Healthy You, or Healthy Eating You, something like that. So there there is something is called um tick after I did not read it very carefully that detailedly. There's something you call, okay, you have been around the computer for too long, just take a break. You have to be mindful that you should take a break. And then mindful eating is, okay, you stop. For example, you eat a meal, you stop 3 times and check how full you are. First time, okay, you're not full, you keep on eating. Second time, you're not full yet, or you only like 2/3 full or half full, you keep on eating. Third time, you're almost 2/3 full. And he says, well, it's better to stop now. So it's this, they're actually applying all these into mindfulness into this daily life, even in a cafe. And I remember one of the Vipassana students whom I met. He owns a cafe. He owns a vegetarian restaurant in Vancouver. And he told us in the beginning of the year, when I ate at his place, he said, "I'm going to have a weekend of silent eating in here." And I looked at him. I didn't want to say anything. I did not want to discourage him. I said, silent eating. He said, yeah, no cell phone, no talking, just eating mindfully. I said, I was going to ask him, but I never got a chance to visit that restaurant again. I was going to ask him how did it turn out. No cell phone, no talking. You think people will come to eat in your restaurant? Maybe Vipassana meditators, or maybe meditators will, but they better spread the words out to the meditator world before they actually propose that to the market. We have to go and support them, okay? If you ever get an email from them, we better go and eat at their restaurant during weekends. And it's happening weekend. He's very brave to do that. He's very brave to do that. I think he's very adamant to actually push this practice into people's life. But sometimes, too much hard pushing could have the opposite result, right? Have a rebound. So energy and diligence in this sense is how you spend your energy and diligence in the practice, not in pursuing mundane achievements, okay? And one pointed concentration, that means very focused. So, and then the last one is the wisdom and the insight. Let us look at the 10 paramis before I talk about this. Okay, so 10 parami in the Southeast Asian tradition, the Theravadan tradition. The first is I want to put down all Pali words, okay? So you know what does it mean. So parami is the perfections. So dana parami is generosity. We talk about that. Sila parami is morality. Great, good. Nikama parami,
Pronunciation.
very good. Who said that? Renunciation. Yeah. So renunciation, what do you think about renunciation in here? What does it mean? Do I shave my head? Does it consider to be renunciation? Gary nodded.
Yeah. Non-attachment.
Yeah. Renunciation, that means non-attachment. You letting go. You cutting off the links, the ties. So renunciation on the superficial level, you could say, I let go of my craving of food. Okay, I love spaghetti. I let go of having 2 plates of spaghetti. That's kind of renunciation, nikama parami. But the deepest renunciation, or the strongest, or the utmost, or ultimate renunciation, what do you think is?
Attachment to yourself.
Attachment to self. Good, very good. Why do you attach to the self? Because we crave for its existence. Yeah, we crave for the existence. And then there's craving, the really strong renunciation that we need to actually pursue is the renunciation to craving, not to crave. When we crave and we don't get it, then you will
And lots of dukkha.
dukkha, yeah. And then you get very angry, a lot of aversion, right? And with so much aversion right in front of you, you become so ignorant because aversion is fire. When there is fire, there is smoke. When there is smoke, can you see? It's all smoky. It's so
Well, I think you can see if you're looking at it objectively, not
what
personifying it.
what if the fire is right in front of you, it's burning, you are burning, the whole world is burning. There's so much aversion. If you can look at it,
You can also
you can look at it mindfully, then you are not in that ignorant mode anymore, right? Right?
I see.
Yeah. So when you have aversion already, that means you're getting smoky, you're getting fiery, and the smoke is already there, and you cannot see. Then that's why you becomes ignorant, and also ignorant because you're ignorant. That's why we crave. You see, this can start from here, from craving to ignorant, and also from ignorant to craving. It all the Buddha is so, I tell you, the Buddha was so wise. I don't think I need to tell you that Buddha was so wise. I think you all know that the Buddha is so wise. Everything he teaches, you can see it from everywhere, from this end to this end, from this end to this end. It all works wherever, whichever end that you start off, like the 12 links, right? You can look at it from the top to the bottom, from bottom to the top. It all works. How can you, I mean, what was he?
He was the Buddha.
Yeah, you tell me.
He experienced.
He did. He did. He's just so amazing. Okay, so Nikama Parami, that means eventually we have to let go of all these craving, all this craving. It's so difficult. It is so difficult. Yeah. Talking about this renunciation, I went to school yesterday to teach the kids meditation. There was a kid. I looked at him and I thought about him yesterday, last night, this morning, this afternoon, this evening. I kept thinking about him. I kept thinking about. I just couldn't get him off my mind. I was trying to find out what I can do for this kid, but I don't know. I don't think I can do anything for him. But is he? I need to let him go. I need to renounce this kid. I need to let him go, but I just can't because I saw him in such dukkha. It was so difficult. He caught my eye as soon as I walked into the classroom. And when I left, I just couldn't get him off my head. It was so difficult. So we are very blessed in a way. You have to let your kids know that they are very blessed. There's so many kids outside in the outside world that are suffering, and they have nowhere to find help. So miserable, so difficult. Gosh, what can I do? I just have to observe a lot of solidified sensations in my body. The fourth is the Panya Parami. What is Panya?
So,
Oh, good. Insight, wisdom. And then insight and wisdom, it seems that, look at it, in the sixth parami, insight and wisdom comes last. Yeah? But how come it's right here? You can see it later. You know why. Virya parami. What is that?
Energy.
Effort, diligence. Yeah, effort and diligence. So that means you put your effort and your diligence in the practice, okay? Pursue despite all the difficulties. Kanti parami. Anybody knows this?
Patience.
Yeah, patience, tolerance, and forbearance, acceptance, endurance. These are all Kanti parami. Satya parami. You are very good. Wow. You know that I'm talking about the 10 parami, so you studied before? Okay. Oh, you know Pali, right? You, yes, it's true. It's close to Hindi. Yeah, you guys are so fortunate. Yeah, it's close to Hindi. Yeah. Satya parami. Truth, honesty, truthfulness, and honesty. One has to be honest with oneself as a practitioner. That's the most important. You in this such a parami, it's not asking you to be honest to others. It's asking you to be honest to yourself. When you're honest with yourself to yourself, you will naturally be honest to others. True? Right? Agree? Yeah. If you're not honest to yourself, or when you're alone, you're not truthful to yourself, or when you're alone, you can be honest and truthful to others. You will always put up a mask. Yeah. So, so that's very important. As a practitioner, you keep on checking whether you're honest to yourself. You are honest with yourself, to yourself. Okay. Satya Brahmi. Adhitan. Adhitan. Brahmi. Sorry, the TT should be dot dot, not comma comma. In MacBook, they don't have a dot dot. I need to find out how to find a dot dot in the MacBook. Adhitan. What's this?
Resolve.
Resolve? No.
Determination.
Determination. Yeah, determination. Determination, strong, perseverance. Yeah. So Adhitan Parami. Adhitan Parami, you remember when you sit a 10-day course on day 4, 6 o'clock? Huh?
I wanted to run.
With the Adhitan? No, on day 4 you wanted to run away. But with the Adhitan, that means you cannot move, remember? You cannot open up your eyes, open up your hands, open up your feet. That's one way of training your determination. I strive through difficulties and the physical pain, the challenges, Adhitan, without hurting yourself. Okay? So, determination. Don't be scared if those people are going to a 10-day course about thinking about the Adhitan. Okay. Okay, metta, loving kindness. Yes, loving kindness. Is loving kindness different with compassion? It is different. What? How different?
Compassion is when what you feel when you see somebody suffering. Loving kindness, you give it to all beings, whether they are in pain or whether they are not in pain, or all beings in all directions.
Okay.
But compassion is more focused on those who are in pain or in
So
suffering.
what's the Pali word for compassion?
Karma.
Karuna. So metta and karuna are different. Yeah. So metta is giving joy, right? Whether to a suffering person or non-suffering person, giving joy. What is karuna? Karuna, compassion, is removing sufferings, helping to alleviate sufferings. That's different. That's the difference. Yeah? One is giving joy, happiness. The other one is alleviating difficulties, miseries, sufferings, removing obstacles, helping others to remove obstacles. Oh, yeah? Okay? So that's metta and karuna. So when we say metta, when we practice metta bhavana or cultivation of loving kindness, it's actually a little bit different with cultivation of metta and karuna together. There is actually I could say, compassion cannot explain, cannot actually encompass metta and karuna together. But that's the only word that we can have in English literature, in English language. Yeah. So, but in the Pali terms, you actually just two really different qualities. Yeah. So it's actually very nice to learn the Pali terms and to understand it from that perspective. And the last one is upekkha. So what is upekkha? Equanimity, the balanced mind. So what is a balanced mind? Balance towards what? Everything is so easy. Such a wonderful answer. Everything. What is equanimity?
Balance towards pain and suffering, and balance towards joy and happiness.
Yeah. So that means you try to maintain that balance of mind when you encounter difficulties and you don't react with the habit pattern of aversion towards unpleasantness. And when you encounter pleasantness, you don't react with the old habit pattern, reactive pattern of aversion or greed. That's equanimity. So it's like a scale. You're always like this. You will jiggle like this, jiggle, but you try to maintain. Yeah, you jiggle like this, but you try to maintain that balance. Yeah, on the scale. So it's okay. You go up and down like this, but once you're aware, then you go, oh, okay, I'll come back. Oh, you go like this. Oh, okay, I'll come back. So you're constantly coming back, you're constantly coming back, you constantly jiggle, and then the scale of jiggling becomes less and less, right? Before we practice, we just like ooh, sky high. The scales just go like this, crazy, yeah. Then little bit, we just go like this. Oh, jiggle. Eventually, then it becomes like this. And do you think when people are like this, do you think people are is a piece of a stone, a piece of rock, or a tree which has been sitting out there for 1,000 years? They are very aware and alert, very, and
Just not react.
exactly. You're not throwing gasoline into the fire, right? Neither they need to, huh?
Sorry, depends how they got there. They're really boring.
Boring? No, they can never be boring.
Or if they got there, have to arrive the process of
Yeah, the
getting
process
there.
is so interesting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes could be very discouraging.
That's right.
Because you keep saying, "Oh, when would I get there?" Don't even think about that. If you start thinking about that, when would I get there? You will never get there because you're going the other way. Because you're not equanimous anymore. Okay? So why would you think that panya is right there? You would think that the panya would be there.
Would it be because with the dana, the sila, and the kama, you would acquire wisdom, and then the rest you would be able to practice?
You got misled by me. I intentionally misled you.
Okay.
Thank you, teacher. Because this is not a list. This is the circle. Okay? Well, this is the circle. And they all interconnected with each other. One being supported by the other, the rest of the 9. Yeah? 9 of them support the other one. You cannot miss any one of it. It's not a step-by-step thing. No, sorry. It's all connected. It's just 10 blobs in a circle, and they are all interconnected. Don't put arrows, okay? Don't put arrows there. Not this one leading to that one. No, I know that somebody is looking at it and trying to figure out which arrow to go. No. They are there. They are interconnected. The other 9 is supporting one, and the other 9 is supporting that one, and that one is supporting the rest. You see, they're all interconnected. You think that, okay, I cultivate dana parami, then I will cultivate sila parami concurrently at the same time. Some may be stronger, some may be lesser, but you concurrently try to cultivate them all together. So that's why if one has gone to a Vipassana course, they said you have 10 jars of parami. You put it in. So some of this jar you put more, some of that jar that you put less, right? Of course, the less would be the panya because we are not enlightened yet. Yeah. But still, there will be aha moments and you put something into that panya jar.
I just have one.
Yes. Okay, good. So that's why the Buddha in this chapter said, tolerance to insult is great power because it harbors not hatred but peace and fortitude. Because you are able to embrace, you are able to forbear, you are able to endure, you are able to persevere. And when you start to persevere, and I know why do I have to persevere? Because I may have planted this cause long, long time ago. Never know. It's just as this now, the effects come out now, it ripens. The causes ripens, the effects, consequences right here. So I am responsible for whatever I'm encountering now. Okay, for whatever I'm experiencing now. So when you holding yourself accountable, then you will forbear, you will tolerate, you'll be very patient, right? Because you know that is your own consequence. And this is a result of a cause and effect. Why do I react? Why do I react? You start if one start to react, that means one actually doesn't see that point of view from that point of view. Okay, why me? Only if? Why me? Why not her? Why not he? Why me? So when you ask why me, that means you don't start to see it from that point of view. You don't start to see it from the cause and effect, the karma point of view. Okay, so if you start to see it from there, then you won't suppress yourself, and you will be happier. At least you won't cultivate a lot of hatred, anger, ill will. Yeah. So when you don't have anger, ill will, hatred, naturally you are a peaceful and happy person. Okay. So he said, those who are tolerant are free from unwholesomeness and will be honored by others. Why? Why?
They're not confrontation.
There is no confrontation, there's no fighting, right? And there is no like accusation, and there's no pointing fingers. Huh?
No judgment.
Yeah, no judgment, no pointing fingers, nothing. And you think that, okay, I back off one step, people will take one step further, friend. They step on me one more step. Then what do? It's not fair. You will say, no fair. He keeps stepping on my toes.
Back up again.
Back off them or back up?
Back up again.
Back up. That means up or off.
Well, yeah.
Back off. Okay? One step back off. As long as you're not falling into the cliff, that will be okay. It's no harm to actually back off. But sometimes you do need to confront people, but confront with compassion, confront with karuna. People is suffering. He is suffering. She is suffering. Can I help you? Why are you stepping on my toes all the time? Is there any way that I can help you not to step on my toes? Sometimes that humor could really dissolve a lot of grudge. And then, sometimes when you start to confront people like this, people start saying, yeah, I'm so ignorant. Why? What's wrong with this person? She's not too bad. Why do I step onto her toes all the time? Sometimes, but not all the times. Okay, so because you're tolerant, you learn to be tolerant, then that unskillful reaction does not happen, then you don't collect those energy. And you don't collect those energy. That means you're not giving out that kind of energy. And and naturally people will be drawn to you. Naturally people will honor your existence. You say, wow, look at them. Look at her, look at she, look at he. Wow, such a tolerant person, such a patient person. Great quality that I'm lacking of. You know, they praise you, they honor you. You don't want you not you don't be patient because you want people to honor you, okay? You don't get it, you won't get it. Okay. It comes naturally, all right. Okay, and he said, when the mind is utterly purged of defilements, it is pure without blemish or filth, that is the brightest light. Of course, when the mind, when there is extreme tolerance and you know that you are actually not tolerating, you are tolerating without tolerating. You know what I mean?
You're just sweeping it under the carpet and not really tolerating it. You're just not looking at it.
No.
Is that it?
When you the real tolerance is you are actually tolerating without really telling yourself, I need to be tolerant. Yeah. Because you said, okay, you remember the story that Ajahn Brahm said, you're a pig.
Yeah.
I'm not a pig. Look at me, I'm not a pig. Nowhere near a pig. So, okay, whatever you say, I have a big smile. Because yourself, this self was not hurt. And you say, he's not talking about me. I'm okay. Even though it maybe I'm big, I'm obese, I don't consider myself a pig. I don't take his words as a words of abuse. Then
Because you know you're not a pig.
even though, I mean, people say a pig is like obese, lazy, whatever, whatever people make out of a pig. But you say, okay, that person is ignorant. He might have something difficult going on in his life. He makes such comment. I don't take that abuse onto me. And you're tolerating. You're tolerating without really try to tolerate. You're tolerating naturally. You don't say, I swallow it. You don't need to
No.
do it. It naturally comes. The patient, I really praise those teachers who have 25 kids in her class. I said, I wouldn't be able to do it. After yesterday, I was so tired. 3 classes in the whole morning. I was so tired. I needed some dessert. So Eva took me out for decades to have a cup of tea and a dessert. I came home and wow, so tired. Then I came to do the evening service. Then I thought, oh, I either go home and go to bed, or I will sit. I chose to sit for 1.5 hours, and at the end of that 1.5 hours sitting, I felt so much energized, and all this tiredness, all these emotions that I gathered from those 3 classes got washed off, just being dealt with like that. So I mean, without blemish at that time, when I chose to sit, just sat, just deal with it. I constantly coming up all these kids' face and their difficulties and everything just keep coming up during the 1.5 hours, and it's okay. It's okay, just okay. No reaction, nothing. And it felt so bright at the end of the sitting. So what he said was right. I experienced that yesterday. No defilements, no reactions, no filth. And that brings out so much brightness and lightness, you know. So, and he said, from before the formation of heaven and earth and through the present, there is nothing in the 10 directions that one does not see, hear, or know. This all inclusive wisdom is indeed brightness. You see, heaven and earth through the present and the past and the future. Heaven and earth up and above, the 10 directions. What he meant is whether it's in the past or in the present or in the future or in anywhere in this universe. If one can see this, if one can cultivate this tolerance, one renounces the self, the attachment to the self, and one actually see emptiness, the anatta. What is emptiness is dependent on origination, isn't it? What is emptiness? What is emptiness of self? Who are you? Nothingness. Yes, but this is apparent truth that we are here. But deep down, who are you? We're nothing. Nothingness. We are just all conditions coming together that make us here. And all the karma carrying on my shoulders that make us the way I am. Right? So if we start to see it that way, that means he said that is inclusive wisdom. And if we can see that, indeed, the mind at that time will be bright. It can be dark. It's the brightest light. That means there is no ignorance, there is no negativities. The mind is pure and bright. And whether it's the past, whether it's the present, whether it's the future, it doesn't make any difference. Because there is no time and space then. Right? There's no more time and space. When there is time and space because we have a duality, then there will be past and present and future. Duality. There is black and white. There is right or wrong because we judge. It's a very deep philosophy, this one. It's a very deep theory. But what he meant is inclusive. That means you literally become enlightened because you see through this emptiness. You see through this. You break through this self. Okay? So 10 directions. What are the 10 directions? Please. Directions. Yeah, yeah. The compasses, right? The 8 directions on the compass, and then plus up and down. Yeah, it's 10 directions. So he said 10 directions is the space, right? And the present and the future is the time, right? So whether it's the time or the space, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because you are enlightened, you see through this. And actually, this is the result. That is the inclusive wisdom is the wisdom of a fully enlightened person. It's not you or me. But we are all future Buddhas. So that's the optimistic part of everything. We are all future Buddha. Okay? That's chapter 15. So upcoming events. So you know that there is a CCH choir on this Sunday? This Sunday. And then the SFU end of life conference, November 2nd and the 3rd. The second is full already. Yeah? And the third is open with, well, no registration is required, right? So I'm going to talk on the third, right? Early morning, 9:30, the first panel. Simon Fraser. Oh, downtown campus. You go on the Poland Facebook page, you'll find it. All right. The second is all full already. They are all full before they publish it. The third is still open registration. Okay, and then there will be a first annual memorial for Yang Sifu on the 4th of December. On that day, we will have a bit of chanting. We will chant the Diamond Sutra. And then we have a grand offering. And then we will have a little video clip of Yang Sifu's life, and then an offering of a flower to her. And that marks the first anniversary. It's actually it's the 18th of December, but because I have to teach a meditation retreat on the 18th of December in Hong Kong, so we have to do it earlier. Okay? Okay, good. Let us dedicate. We bring our awareness back to our body, right here, right now. We experience this ever changing phenomenon that the Buddha taught, anicca, impermanence. Right here in this physical existence. With this understanding, we allow a good thought to arise on our mind for all the benefits that I gather hearing the words of the Buddha. May I share all these benefits, all these merits with all beings. May all beings, human, non-human, visible, invisible, big or small, far or near, may they be free of enmity, may they be free of miseries. May they start to live in a world with brightness, warmth, and experience love and peace. May all beings encounter the words of the Buddha and practice, study and practice, and liberate themselves from their own difficulties, sufferings, and be happy and be peaceful. Okay, thank you. Yes, Paul.
Did we mention this in meditation course?